Hey, home printing, welcome aboard. We're just getting started. Home printing, where are you located? Hey, Mr. Blodgett. Welcome. Happy Sunday. Welcome from Germany. Awesome. You in the shop today, Mr. Blodgett? Well, as we get underway here, looks like might be a slow ramp up this morning. I don't know. I better turn off my notifications. 3D printing day. Funny you should mention that. I have the 3D printer going also. I'm making some PFG stone trays for the minis. And I'm doing that because the spreadsheet told me to. I do work for somebody. They just happen to be a spreadsheet. Hey, Felix, welcome aboard. I only answer to two people, my wife and the spreadsheet. Anyway, we're having a good day in the shop. Yeah. All hail the spreadsheet. Exactly right. That's my MRP system. Yeah, I knew. I got it. Hey, welcome aboard. There's a new name, which I can't pronounce. So, welcome. We're going to call you Starts with a B. Anyway, oh, there he is, Chris and Warren. Now we can start. I was worried. Anyway, we have stuff going on today. The spreadsheet has a tray full of work for me to do, but I also have to do some other stuff. So it's a mix. I'm putting up a. Hey, Warren. I'm putting up an overhead rack in that corner. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it. Anyway, we have one of them up, which you also can't see. But we have one of them up in right over my shoulder, and I'm putting a second one up. So that's one of the projects in the shop. Once that's done, I've got to get a VFD installed on my dual bandsaw, which is patiently waiting for that. The dual bandsaw used to live right here, and we moved it out so that we can get the grinder in, the new grinder, and it was using the VFD that the grinder uses. So now that it's off in that other corner, it doesn't have the VFD from the converter from the grinder. So it's getting its own small converter. Hey, Bart, welcome aboard. My fellow master. Bart and I were both instructing young ones in the last week in the ways of the martial arts, keeping them out of trouble or keeping them in trouble. I'm not sure which. A little of both. So yeah, we have some shop projects going. It's a beautiful sunny day, so we're running on solar energy today, and yeah. I hope Adam shows up because I've got something that directly affects him to talk about. You guys may recall Last week, I think, is when we were talking about little stones, small stones, for getting into tight places. And I'm happy to report that I did my homework on that and found a Norton stone, which is a 2-inch round, half-inch thick stone. I think it's meant to go on a die grinder or possibly on a specialty grinder. In the number 32A material. So that's 32A material, those of you who go by color. It's sort of a general purpose material, and in 60 grit. So it sounds like it's going to make a really nice PFG stone. That's going to be a little 2-inch diameter stone. So we're going to get that done, and I want to get a pair of those sent over to Adam for beta testing. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's funny how we've got the big stuff covered, and it's the little stuff that's finicky. And so we have the 4-inch minis, which, you know, these guys. And now we're going to have the 2-inch round minis. And if it works out, if they come out of beta test with a thumbs up, then we'll have that as a product on the website. They should be fun to make. So let's see. I'm still working on adding a page to my website with all of our, the books we want to read for grinding. I will be putting a page together, and that's not done yet. So that's coming. I'm just making a note that we talked about it. What else did we talk about last week that was important? I don't know. Am I missing anything? Anybody want to remind me of something I forgot from last week? Did everybody change their clocks today or forget? Mr. Najafi is with us. Pat Motek, welcome aboard. Everybody's going, what time is it? I am truly hoping that this daylight savings time thing goes away. It's just dumb. So anyway, it is 17 Zulu in the only time zone that matters. And at least we're all here. So today the grinder's warmed up. I'll probably get it going on 4-inch stones as a first priority, and then minis as a second priority. I think that will bring me up to date. Hey, good morning, Fred. I have to say, I'm seeing a lot of new faces, or new names at least today, and I want to say welcome aboard. I did put a notice up on the Instamachinists Discord server, so if you're just joining us from there, actually, if you're here for the first time because of my posting that on the Discord server, let me know, because that would be of interest. And there was another Discord server, the Within Tolerance. Yeah, I know it's evening there. We slipped yet another hour into your evening. So let's see. You should be GMT +1. Is that right, Bart? Ah, there he is, Magister Factorum from the Discord server. Welcome aboard. Obsidian Tools, welcome aboard. So Bart, are you +1? GMT +1? You know, ever since I started doing the lives here, I have been posting the times in Zulu, and I think that's been, everybody knows what that means, and everybody's been able to figure it out. So, we still have a job on the mill that has to finish up. That's not done yet. Hopefully I'll be able to show you something from that. And what else is going on in the shop? I think that's about it right now. So I've got a bunch of shop maintenance to do today. It's 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. And it's 17 Zulu. Oh, so you're GMT +1. So my guess was correct. So Bart, I'm curious, based on your the interactions we had on DMs, what is your main gig? Are you in a machining position or a engineering position? Hey, I see that conjet.art has joined. Welcome aboard. Conjet.art is an artist and currently based out of Boston, Massachusetts, more or less. A question has come in on the question box. Stand by. Okay, so conjet.art asks, what is the best tea? You may have opened up a you may have opened up a Pandora's box here. Pragmatic Machinist Chris says that she makes awesome laser sharks, which I tend to ignore. What? I don't ignore. So what's the best tea? I started today with Irish breakfast tea. Irish breakfast tea is what's in here, and I rotate through about 4 different teas during my week. Best tea? I don't know. You guys could chime in. My choices are Chris says coffee is the best tea. Hey, Inspiration Metalworks. Welcome aboard, sir. A third absolutely confirmed martial artist. Earl Grey. Would that be hot? So I like Earl Grey. Nader, welcome aboard. Dika, welcome aboard. I like Earl Grey, but it's a little too aromatic for me. So I will have it every now and then. I go through Irish breakfast tea, English breakfast tea. I have a nice mango black tea and a ginger tea. And all of those are caffeinated. And then we have some uncaffeinated ones, which I don't remember because I don't cycle through them. But I am not a coffee drinker. However, I respect those that do. I did grow up in a coffee household, but actually that's not true. We drank more tea than coffee, and I never drank coffee. I'm glad we covered that. Thank you, Conjet, for your excellent question. Anything with ginger, I love. That's true. I'm a big ginger fanatic. And my wife bought these little cookies yesterday, which were ginger snaps with ginger cream filling. It was just the best. You're welcome, guys. So I know for sure we have some refugees here from the Discord server. I want to say welcome. I've been a little bit inactive there. Warren says, Long Island iced tea. Or Bigelow I Love Lemon. Actually, I have consumed a lot of Bigelow I Love Lemon over the years, not recently. Hello from Spain. Bienvenido. It must be evening there. So Spain is GMT or GMT -1, I think. Or, no, you might be GMT +1 also. So yeah, good evening. So I think we covered the best tea question. You know, I appreciate the fact that you come to a generally machinist-centric Instagram Live to talk about tea. And before I answer Magister Factotum, I will drink some of my tea. Okay, the good Magister says, how much of a difference do you think the geometry of a PFG matters versus the dulled grains? Ah, okay. I got it. I think I know what you're asking. So when we grind, I'm gonna need a piece of scientific paper here to draw on. When we grind the PFG stones, you're gonna have grits that are nice and sharp, and then when we diamond grind them, they become flat. So I think that's what you mean by the dulled grains versus the overall geometry of the stone. So let's talk about that. That's actually a really good question. So I'm going to draw a quick drawing here, and this is what the question is. You could have a stone with sharp grains. See ya, Conjet. And then we come along and we flatten them, right? We cut off the tops of those dull grains. And the surprising answer is that once the geometry is perfect, in other words, once the stone is flat, the pounds per square inch on any one grain goes down. Okay, that's the first thing you have to know. So it actually doesn't matter what the shape of the grain is. And yes, we've taken some of the grains and we've taken them from a sharp point that has a very small area on top, and then we've made them dull that has a big flat area. So irregardlessly, and hereby notwithstanding the exact shape of the grits, we've reduced the pressure on any one grit. So that's the first fact that I think is without dispute. Then the second fact is what is required for cutting. So for cutting, we require a certain threshold pressure, and we need that pressure to cut. So by reducing the overall pressure, we reduce the cutting. So if you have a flat surface and a PFG stone, if you have a flat stone and a flat surface, they don't cut. And that's the whole idea. No cutting takes place. It doesn't matter if on aggregate all of those grits are pointy or all of those grits are stubby. If the pressure on the grits is below a threshold, cutting doesn't happen. Okay? Yeah. No, Warren, I didn't just say irregardless. I said irregardlessly and hereby notwithstanding. Please pay attention. So, okay, so the geometry matters a lot. If I took a stone and I somehow had a poor geometry, like the surface was wavy, and I managed to take the very sharp grains and have them be dull, but the surface is still grainy, you're still going to have high pressure areas because the geometry is wrong, and you're likely going to scratch your surface. So the geometry is more important than the dulling of the grains. It's kind of, let's see if I believe what I'm about to say. Yeah. Get ready. Strap in for this one, Magister. They're the same thing on a different scale. They're the same thing on a different scale. So once we've flattened the stone and we have pores in the stone and we have a flat surface, no cutting is going to take place. But as soon as we have something protruding from the flat surface, the pressure between the stone and that thing goes up, and the harder material wins. Let me say that again. When we have a burr, the pressure goes up, it crosses the threshold where something's going to give, and the harder material wins, and the softer material yields. And that's how cutting happens. So you need both. But the most important thing is that the geometry be right. That's why we try so hard to not only... oh, you're welcome. Oh, thank you to Warren. Chris is making sure that Warren is staying on top of what I say. And you know, gives me grief for it. That's why we try so hard to get the stones dead flat with no, I'm going to use a weird word here, with no figure, right? With no geometry. Dead flat, no geometry. Okay? And if we could do that consistently, we have a good stone. Have you ever tried very fine, I think you meant grit stones? Does it make a difference? Yeah. Yeah, we have done that. Let me answer that question. Hang on, there's a question hanging in the question box. No, we answered it. Okay. So Bart says, have we ever tried very fine grit stones? Does it make a difference? Yes. So let's do a thought experiment and let's take a stone that is super fine grit. In fact, I've done this with an alumina stone that was very, very fine grit. I think 6,000 or something. And I played with it. Here's the problem, is that as you stone a surface, it is a cutting process. So if you have burrs, they get cut. Where does the material go? So if you have a super fine grit stone, the swarf doesn't have any place to go unless it's a serrated stone, in which case, that's a different story. And it smears. It tends to smear in the stone. So if I had a choice, let me get some show and tell here. Here's my my everyday carry, as it were. My bench 6-inch stones, right? So in my brain, when I go reaching for my PFG stones, the so-called coarse stone, which by the way feels like glass here, right? The coarse stone is bigger pores, and the fine stone is smaller pores. It's not like, an out-of-the-box stone, because the reason we differentiate in grit for out-of-the-box stones is because they're going to scratch a surface no matter what. If it's a flat surface, it's still going to scratch the surface because it's not flat and the pressures are high randomly. So the question is, how big are the scratches? Are they small scratches or fat scratches? And that's why we have it in our head that the grit matters, because it's what size is the scratches. As soon as you're using a PFG stone, it's different. It's not the same question. So I hope I answered that. I don't want if I go to deburr a surface, I want somewhere, I need to know that the swarf is going somewhere. And both of these, as a matter of fact, so this is technically a 100 and 240 grit, which is the size of the particles. And I find myself reaching for the 100 grit most of the time, because I know it has big pores in it. Like I just did my chuck. I cleaned my chuck. I used the fine one because I knew that the chuck was in great condition, and I went right to the fine one. So it really depends, but you think about it differently. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Think about the swarf. Excellent. This is a great question. Excuse me, and I'm going to give you a great answer after I have some tea. K.R. Blodgett says, could the 3-plate method, and I'm going to give extra award points if anybody could tell me who created the 3-plate method. Could the 3-plate method be used to create PFG stones? And the probably unsurprising answer is yes. Warren says, I find I like the 100 grit side better for no particular reason. I'll tell you what the reason is, Warren, because there's no particular love for the fine grit side. I find it very soft from a friability point of view. Whitworth, thank you. Magister Factotum, Magister Factotum walks in here from the Discord server for the first time and starts delivering immediately. Thank you. Whitworth is the correct answer. Okay, so the answer is yes, you can use the 3-plate method. It's going to take you a long time. I will remind you that in the 3-plate method, you're also using a cutting medium, right? So with stones, you know, well, with plates, let's say we were doing cast iron plates, you broke bench stones into square sections and used diamond lapping paste. Okay, so in that case, that's exactly where I was going. So you have to add, you're adding a diamond lapping paste. And then, yeah, you can go to town and make the stones using a 3-stone method or 3-plate method. It just takes a long time. And I would imagine it will take you, I'm just going to throw this out there, it'll take you at least 10 times longer to make a stone that way than my way. So if you have more time than money, which some of us, you know, we're just playing around, can you do it? Yeah, a lot of people have done it. Magister says he was the apprentice in the last Vermont Richard King class. Cool. So I want you to think about this. When we use our PFG stones and we condition them, okay, and then sometimes we condition them the other way, and then sometimes we condition them here, and then sometimes maybe we condition them like this, and then sometimes we condition them like this, and then sometimes we condition them like this. The very act of randomizing how you condition your stones and how you use your stones is akin to the 3-plate method and helps keep them flat. So that's why in the instructions, in the information page, we tell you just randomize it. And the really cool thing is the round stones, when you pick up the round stones, every time you pick them up, it's different. That also helps randomize it. So there you go. I think we beat that one to death. You can use the 3-plate method if you have a lot of time. In a post-apocalyptic world, we can make them. Yeah. If we found ourselves in a post-apocalyptic world, we can definitely claw our way back to flat. Yes, totally agree. So, Warren and Magister are talking about the Richard King course that they were both present at. And Warren wants to know if he asks the apprentice from Waterville Arsenal, question mark. There you go. So, Magister, you might have recognized that Mr. Warren Jones is the beta tester for our beveled 4-inch stones. And he posted some pictures of it. And I think that's the Bridgeport you're referring to. Have I ever measured the flatness? Yes. Not only have I done it, I'd like to set it up maybe for next week. Let me put that down. We'll do a live measurement. Yeah, it's better than a tenth. So we've definitely measured it. And also you can, it's actually not trivial to measure that flatness. You have to put the stone up on 3 points and get under the 3 points and then scan. It's not the end of the world, but I'll try to set that up for next week. I think I saw a new name. Vic, welcome aboard. So, yeah. And you'll find that even a stone that's not perfectly ground, again, the closer we get to flat, the better the performance and the longer it's going to stay flat. Excellent question, Bart. Okay, so let's. Bart asked about parallelism. So parallelism is the method we use to make the stones. Is a parallel method. We don't measure it. We don't guarantee it. If it was super important, let me know on your order, and we'll check it. But it should be parallel. I make it using a technique that is a parallel technique. So after we grind one surface and flip it over, we are referencing the other surface to grind the top surface, and they should be parallel. They all should also so these sides should be parallel, and from the major face to the side should be square. Again, we're not trying to meet a spec on those things, but that is how we make them. So yeah, they should be parallel and square. Is the flatness affected by temperature changes? It's a good question. I'll start by saying that has not been evaluated. What would I expect? I think if you had a big extreme of temperature, you could potentially get into trouble. And the reason is that material and that material are different, right? So maybe this material has a different coefficient of thermal expansion than this material, in which case you'll get a bend. Have I looked at that at temperatures very far from standard temperature and pressure? No. Bart says, should we do that as a live experiment? I don't want to do it as a live... yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll get the heat gun out. Possibly. But if you... Chris, if you're going to be stoning any surfaces inside a operating nuclear reactor, please contact the factory. It's a little weird. Good question. And don't forget, these aren't gauge blocks. Oh, speaking of gauge blocks, I do stone my gauge blocks on the fine side of my PFG stones. And my working gauge blocks, the ones that would be here setting up the sign plate, I have no problem cleaning them with a PFG stone. One of the experiments coming up is going to be to do a measurement of, if you use a PFG stone to clean a gauge block, can you measure the wear? Hey, Grandmaster Bob, welcome aboard. Hey, Bart, Meet Grandmaster Bob Lemire. Bob Lemire, meet Bart Harkema, who is over in Denmark. And he is a fellow martial artist who also happens to be a machinist. Anyway, that introduction isn't going to help too much, but I just wanted you guys to know you're among friends. We could almost start class with the number of martial artists this morning, and I think Taekwondo has the Netherlands. I'm sorry, did I say Denmark? I apologize, Netherlands. Yeah, I think we have a majority of Taekwondoists this morning. So I hope I answered your question about heat. So the other thing about if your stones go out of flat, when you go to condition them, you're going to feel it. You're going to have immediate feedback, and you'll know it. So if something bizarre is going on, you know, if Chris is inside of a nuclear reactor trying to stone the flange of the cooling pipe that just burst so that he can get it back together and save the universe, is an official gauge block stone simply a PFG stone or something special? Excellent question. It depends who you ask. Well, first of all, PFG stone is a trademark. So let's say a precision ground stone. That's all it is. There's no magic. There's no fairy dust. An official gauge block stone. Now, the ones I've seen from that are sold by Starrett are serrated. And I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I haven't told this to anybody, but I'm going to tell you guys. I can serrate the stones, and I was going to do, it's on my list of experiments to make some serrated stones. A serrated stone gives any swarf a place to go beyond the pores of the stone. So, does it have a value? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Yes, ground aluminum oxide stone. Absolutely. Like I said, it's not, there's no magic here. As long as it's a high quality flat stone, and as long as, you know, you're not sitting there putting 10,000 strokes and 200 pounds on it, you just need a couple of quick swipes and you're done. And because both the stone is flat and the gauge block is flat, it's just going to clean it. It's not going to remove any material. Again, that's a good experiment. We should measure that. So the old gauge block experiment. Maybe what we're going to do is have one experiment a week on our Instagram lives. Wouldn't that be fun? So that gives me a homework for the week to get that set up, and then we could do the experiment. I'll try to get that going. Some weeks might be hard to do, but I think if we had some fun experiment every week, that would be great. Excellent. Good questions. What other questions do you guys have about anything? Tea. Just don't ask me any questions about hockey. That would be not useful. So I've been thinking about modifying one of my vices for the bevel grinding setup to get some of the metal out of the way that we don't need there. So that might happen. I'm still staring at it, deciding if I'm going to do that. It's a small investment. I think I paid $30-40 for this vise on eBay, and I might modify it. So, also things that are in the queue that are not out yet is a new video on balancing to go with the balancing rings. By the way, you want to see one of the earliest prototype balancing rings? That's one of the early prototypes, and the new ones are actually better. And I'll show you that. Have you ever used ruby stones? I've got a set that's very handy for fine work. I am familiar with ruby stones, and so here's my take on ruby stones. Ruby is, strap in, aluminum oxide with there's just a dopant that makes it red, but at its core, it's aluminum oxide. This stone, with its beautiful bluish tint, is aluminum oxide. But wait, there's more. That stone, which is nominally white, except it's a little dirty, is, wait for it, aluminum oxide. Now look familiar? So this is, of course, a grinding wheel and not the stones you're talking about. This is aluminum oxide. Now, there's some ceramics. I think they use some ceramics in here, and they use, you know, a little pinch of stuff. But my point is that most of the stones that you deal with are aluminum oxide, unless they're silicon carbide, right? So I have a green stone. That's a silicon carbide. So they're different. They're two different animals. But 90% of the common stones are silicon, are aluminum oxide. So I have not had the, you know, wooden boxed ruby stones in my hand, and I do know that they're made very dense, and they're made very, I'm going to use a word incorrectly, but very hard. Really, it's not friable. So the grains are attached to each other in a very strong way, in a very tight way, versus like we just took a look at the Radiac wheel, which has the grains attached in a very open way. So no, the answer is I have never used them, but I'm not sure. You know what? I'd like to get a set. I should probably get a set in my hands, but I'm not sure that they would be any different than the PFG stones that I make. And the reason the minis came up. Hang on one second. Came up in the first place was that one of our customers said, "Hey, I'd like to get some smaller stones that are more handy for my toolbox." So we started making the minis, and I think that sort of answered that need for him. So anyway, if I can get my hands on the so-called ruby stones, I will. And I have bought a bunch of stones just to evaluate them. In fact, I'll show you one of them because it's right at hand here. Let's see. Where are they? Aha! Yeah, Norton came out with these stones for the knife guys. And they're an alumina stone. Remember we were talking about that earlier? So I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. And I have to say, they're beautiful. But when you go to use them, so watch carefully now, my fingers will never leave my hands. When you go to use them, remember we talked about where does the swarf go? it's right there. So the swarf just smears on the surface, and that was a thing. And I got to be honest with you, you know, their grinding is not that good. So this was an interesting experiment. I could see where if you're doing some super fine finishing of a cutting edge, you're not making much swarf. If you get it smeared on the surface, it's not the end of the world. But I do like to look at what's out there and see if it's useful. I think these would not last long in your shop in general use because of the super fine structure. Okay, so Wannabe Machinist says, hey there from Germany. Hey. Oh, I see. Before we get on to the question, Magister says that the set of ruby stones that he has is nice because they're in the same profile as needle files. Very interesting. And that's cool. Yeah, so we fight the same fight. Like Adam said last week, I really want these small stones. So we're making some small stones in the small rounds. Application specific. Wannabe Machinist says, hey there from Germany. We covered that. Is there a best way of cleaning the stones, or doesn't it really matter? So we talked about that a little bit last week. And I like to clean the stones in warm soapy water with Dawn dish soap. Okay? And then that's a good way to do it. Another good way to do it is denatured alcohol, right? And then I showed a post. Look back in my Instagram posts where we did an experiment that was pretty successful, which is we take some paper towels and we saturate them with denatured alcohol. By the way, in Germany, I don't know if you have denatured alcohol as such. This is basically ethanol and methanol. This could be as much as 50% methanol, according to the MSDS, which is the safety data sheet. But basically, this is ethanol and methanol. And they add the methanol so you can't drink it. It's all about taxes. But so a simple alcohol, and then we soak some paper towels, you know, this big, on a tray. I take 4 layers of paper towels, so basically fold them in half, soak it with the alcohol, put the stones on top of the soaked paper towels, and walk away and go do something else. And then every now and then come back and kind of stamp pad the paper towels, and that tends to clean and pull out any of the greases and stuff from the stone. That works pretty nicely. So I use a brush with dishwasher soap, dishwashing soap, and I use a brush with denatured alcohol, and I use that trick that I showed with paper towels, and all of those things are good. Now, you can also use ultrasonic bath to clean them. I've done that with a soap called Precision Clean, which is just a detergent that I use in my ultrasonic cleaner. That works too. I will warn you that you might get, especially on the red side, you might get a bit of a mottled appearance because it'll pull out, in the ultrasonic cleaner, it'll pull out the oils that are impregnated in the stones at manufacturing. And that discoloration is meaningless. But one of the experiments I did early on in developing the PFG stone recipe is to do some pretty serious ultrasonic cleaning. At one point I thought it was the Holy Grail, and it's not. But as a result of that, I was able to literally remove all of the oil that was in the stones, and I gathered it up and I looked at it. at room temperature, it's not oil. Let me say that again. The oil in the Norton oil stones at room temperature is not oil. It's like a grease. It's like a light grease. Hey Chuck, welcome aboard. So that was pretty interesting. So I said all that to say this, that ultrasonic cleaning will not hurt the stones, and it will pull out more than you expected, which doesn't hurt anything. Now, having said that, we also covered this last week. Try to clean your surfaces before you stone them. Otherwise, you're just making your stones pick up oil and grease, and you don't need that. Nobody needs that. So if you wanted something that's best, it's clean the work before you stone it. That's the best. I hope that helps. So what's going on in California, Chuck? Did you guys move your clocks? Hey, happy to help, wannabe. Chuck, you had the best typo in the world. I have no idea what you just said. Yes, okay. Yeah, the lag we have on the Instagram Live is kind of weird. It makes conversations a little difficult. Anyway, those were good questions. What fluid in the U.S.? Chuck, hit me again with that question. Now I have to know what you asked. Ultrasonic fluid. Okay, so in my ultrasonic cleaner, I use water and tap water. If you have really lousy tap water, use distilled water. And then I use Precision Clean by LPS. So LPS is a manufacturer that makes some stuff that I like, LPS 1, LPS 2, LPS 3. And then they also make something called Precision Clean, and I use that 1 to 10 for the ultrasonic, and that works really well. I do have a complaint about Precision Clean, and that is that it will grow mold. So if you close up your ultrasonic cleaner and you walk away for a couple of weeks, and you come back, there's something growing in there, and you have to clean it up. I recently just totally cleaned out my cleaner. So there's another cleaner I bought. I'm gonna go grab it because I wanna give you this. I haven't tried it yet, but it was specifically for the ultrasonic cleaner. Give me 1 second. Okay, so yeah, any of this stuff is applicable in the ultrasonic in general, but also for the stones. This is fine for the stones. This is one I have not tried yet, but it was recommended to me, and it's cheap. So if your ears, if I said cheap and your ears perked up, this might be for you. This is called Alco Jet Low Foaming Powdered Detergent. Alco Jet, ALCOJET. It says, I'm looking for the English, hang on. Used in automated machine per manufacturer instructions, typical blah, blah, blah. They give you some dilutions. But this was recommended, I forget where, for ultrasonics also. And somewhere I have the data on how much to use. So this is going to be a future experiment for the ultrasonic. So you can also use Dawn dishwashing detergent in your ultrasonic. Works great. Have you tried yeah, this is a great trick. Thank you, Chuck. Chuck is bringing up the trick of using a cleaning fluid inside of a plastic bag, which you then put in the ultrasonic. That's a great trick because the ultrasonic can then just be filled with water, and then you could use whatever you want in your bag. You could also do this trick with glass jars because the glass will transmit the ultrasonic very well. And a plastic container, for example, will attenuate the ultrasonic waves. So that's a really super trick because you can use different fluids for different applications. Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks for bringing it up. So, Magister says, I've used scouring powder like Bon Ami or Comet for very dirty stones. I'm okay with that, I think. I'm a little worried because they could be abrasive, and then, of course, we don't want to abrade our stones. But I don't think they're going to be abrasive enough to actually cause any issues. So, sure, give it a shot. As long as you don't go at it with a, you know, an angle grinder, I don't think you're going to hurt them too much. Now, I will say that I've had guys damage their stones by using them for like deburring corners. Feldspar, yeah, Magister says they're feldspar. Bon Ami and Comet, they contain feldspar, which is a very soft material. So, yeah, I'm not worried about that. But of all of the things we talked about, Dawn, hang on a second. I just got to... You know, hashtag not sponsored. This is, I get this size at my hardware store. This is 28 fluid ounces of Dawn. This lasts a long time, and whenever I'm in the hardware store, I just grab one, and it either goes there by the utility sink or it goes over there by the ultrasonic. But you could just run water and Dawn in your ultrasonic, and you'll be amazed at what it does. All you're trying to do is emulsify the grease. The ultrasonic does the hard work. The soapy water keeps the oil in an emulsion, in suspension. Emulsion. I think suspension is something different. Don't tell my wife I said that. Okay. So good questions. Sometimes the best answers are also the cheap ones. And from a health, let me address this from a health standpoint. Okay, I use both of these, but I sure know that I feel a lot better using some soapy water than I do using a solvent. But sometimes I can't use soapy water, and from a health standpoint, I prefer you kind of keep that in mind. Also, if you're using solvents, you know, you might want to consider wearing a solvent-rated, which means a carbon cartridge respirator. Yeah, Warren says, Dawn seems to have many uses for greasy stuff. Now, Warren works on some seriously greasy stuff. Warren, do you ever use it for cleaning up your bores? Hey, Titus, I have great news for you. So Titus says, hey, Spencer, is shipping actually 4 weeks out? Because I messed up and I thought my buddy's birthday was later than I thought. I think I have. No, I know I have. Yeah, Warren says no, I use the horrible solvents, right? Titus, I have at least one of everything in stock. So if you jump on the site, actually, tell me what size you were thinking of. Just put it in the chat. But I'll go put my hands on it right now, and you could go place your order, and I promise you it'll be shipped in the morning. So Warren uses mineral spirits and denatured alcohol. So denatured alcohol we already covered. Mineral spirits is a heavier solvent. Okay, I think you have a spell check problem there too. Hey Chuck, take care. Thanks for checking in, buddy. I've been watching your videos. Warren, that last one is beautiful. Spotted, oh, I got it. Before you correct it, spotted owl killer fluid. Yes. Yeah. You know, Warren, I don't know if you've ever tasted spotted owl, but it tastes a little bit like bald eagle. All right. Any other cool questions? You guys are awesome. That's all right. We made it work, right, Warren? Indiana John. Indiana John, did you sleep in because of the time change? Tastes like chicken. It's true. So you know who we haven't seen today? We haven't seen Adam. Oh, Bart. Bart says, does the quality of a dressing diamond make a big difference? So, I think what you're asking is a dressing diamond for dressing the wheel. Now, for a standard grinding wheel, which is usually made of what? What do you say? Yes, correct. Aluminum oxide. Or silicon carbide. Yes, we use a diamond. Does the quality of the dressing diamond make a big difference? I think the quality of the dressing diamond leads to how long the diamond's going to last. I think the ability to rotate the diamond, like my diamond holder, you know, there's a diamond, okay? And every time I use it, I tend to try to use it, you know, in a different direction. So I take care, Warren. Warren has to check out. Nice seeing you, buddy. Yeah, we're going long today, but I don't mind hanging out. See you next time. I think the failure modes in a dressing diamond would be, you know, the diamond cracking, or the setting failing. Those, but I haven't seen any of those. I buy my diamonds from McMaster Carr, and I can't tell you where they're getting them from, but it's a quality source. Ooh, this needs a little. This is getting a little bit of corrosion on it. So I have not had a problem with bad diamonds for dressing. And I will point out, for those of you that may be a little unfamiliar with surface grinding, when we grind PFG stones, we're using diamond wheels. So you can't dress a diamond wheel with a diamond. Doesn't work. So that's a whole other thing. But for conventional grinding, we use a single diamond. Now, some people like diamond clusters, where there's you know, some number of diamonds all together. I've never used them. I shouldn't say never, but I use single diamonds, and I've been using. I think I've purchased less than 6 single point diamonds in my life. So it's not like you tear through them. So no, I think that's one of those things, Bart, where if you had an opportunity, like for example, to go on the website we love to hate, Amazon, and buy some Chinese, you know, diamond, probably work fine. I think the method you use for dressing is more important than the diamond. Uh, 6-inch rectangular in stock, buddy. Titus, if you put your order in, I will personally get it to the... Is 2 to 3 days good enough, or do you need it faster? But if 2 to 3 days is good enough, you'll have it. I'll take it in the morning. So I was saying that the method of dressing is more important than the diamond itself. How's that? Okay, Indiana John says, what's your opinion on using air as a coolant? Okay, Titus. Air is a terrible coolant. You know, there's a thermal, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a thermal conduction that has different values, and for air, it's not great. Of course, if you're blowing air at it, it's better, but it's nothing like a water-based coolant or even an oil-based coolant. So I've never used air only. I have used air in a mist. So I've used cool mist, 78, diluted according to the directions, which is like 1 to 20 or something. And that works fantastically well for grinding. And now I use heavy flood coolant. I mean, lots of flood. And that is, in the case of stones, its principal job is cleaning the area, getting the swarf out of there. In the case of grinding a hard metal, it's both swarf control, but also cooling of the base metal. Specific heat is actually not, well, no, we used to call it R theta J in the semiconductor business. The heck, there's a word, I'm missing a word, it doesn't matter. Specific heat in my mind is like how much heat a material can hold, which isn't quite exactly what I'm looking for. But I think we're communicating. I think, you know, if all you had was, I'll tell you what, if you were standing at a manual grinder and you had compressed air and you didn't have anything else and your work was getting warm, should you use compressed air? Absolutely. Sure, do it. Is it going to work? Yes. Is it going to work better than not using it? Yes. So how's that? But I think a mist cooler, I'm looking at it, but I can't grab it because it's behind a bunch of things. A mist cooler is awesome. So the Noga, write this down. Noga Mini Cool is what I use. They come in a 1 and a 2 nozzle variety, and I use Cool Mist with a K, K-O-O-L Mist, Cool Mist 78, which is the light duty. And that combination for grinding is awesome. So again, if you have a manual grinder, you don't have any coolant set up, but you have some compressed air, get yourself the Noga Cool. Hashtag not sponsored. I hope that answers that one. Good question. So we're way over where I would normally say goodbye. So I'll give you guys 2 more minutes to come up with a cool question. If not, we'll call it a day. Because it's an awesome Sunday and you should be doing something awesome. So while I'm waiting for some cool questions to pop in, Bart, we had our colored belt test yesterday, and we advanced 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 students advanced yesterday. I thought you'd get a kick out of that. So that was pretty cool. All right, so good questions today, guys. I have taken some homework. I've taken away, get the web page of the grinding library together. And I've taken away, set up an experiment so we could measure some PFG stones together. That'd be fun. I'll try to get that going. If not for next week, it'll be soon. and then further investigations into the gauge block question, which I've been meaning to do for a while. And then actually I have a question for you guys. So Wannabe Machinist asks, have you ever dressed your stones with molybdenum? And I am going to answer your question in the most complicated way possible. Yes. I am a big advocate of using molybdenum. I use molybdenum. I teach the use of molybdenum. Molybdenum is a standard. See, I didn't have to get out of my chair. Molybdenum is a standard tool around here. This is a molybdenum holder that I use on a regular basis. There's my stamp on there. So yes, I use molybdenum to dress my diamond wheels all the time. And it works fantabulously. So see some of my previous Instagram posts and follow me if you're not already doing that. And you'll dig up some of the molybdenum info. But yeah, absolutely. 2,000ths down, 18 to 20 inches per minute across. And hey, Titus, awesome. No, thank you. I promise I'll get it out right away. But the molybdenum works great. You just got to be patient. But you know, here's everything you need for dressing. Whereas if you're old school, I got to open my big drawer here. You know, if you're old school and you're doing the brake controlled truing device, that's a lot more stuff to deal with. But it's another tool in the toolbox. So yeah, I use molybdenum, and I actually was thinking that maybe that's something that we should sell on the Kinetic Precision site, is the little dressing puck and sticks of molybdenum. If you guys think that that's a good idea, please tell me, because we can do it. And I'll also take that under advisement for a video. I think that would make a good video. So here's a question, making a note of your... So for those of you that have stuck it out here for an hour and 13 minutes, I've been thinking about video content and generating some videos on my channel. It's a lot more work than doing Instagram posts and Instagram lives. But I kind of like the idea of having it be a better place for a repository of knowledge. I don't want to keep this stuff up here where it's not doing anybody else any good. So my question is, and maybe I'll put out a poll. We can keep going the way we're going, or I could start also making some video content. And if that's a good idea, and I think it would be specific to the kind of stuff we've been talking about. I think there's awesome machining content on YouTube. So, you know, I find grinding fascinating. And I've been talking about grinding, and I've been grinding stones, and I've been talking about the stones, and that's the stuff that I think I'm most excited about. Yeah, I do regular old machining, and I try to learn as much as I can, just like everybody else. But I'm thinking of generating some videos around these topics. Thanks, Mr. Blodgett. Good feedback. You know, I think people like Keith Rucker are excellent examples of how I would like to do it. Yeah, thanks, Magister. And by that, I mean, you know, Keith has a rig on wheels that he moves around the shop, and thanks, Bart. very good about systematizing the. Hey, thank you, RJ. Appreciate it. Thank you, Wannabe. Well, so far, nobody has said, keep that ugly mug off the videos. We don't want that, so that's good. It's pretty good. Thank you, Indiana. Thank you for the support. Yeah, I think I'd like to do that and figure out a way to make it so that it's not a major intrusion trying to, you know, get the videos out with some decent quality. I do have, I think I have everything I need as far as hardware is concerned. So it's not like I have to go buy anything, but I have to come up with a process. Okay. Well, I'm going to start putting together a list, and I'll share the list with you guys of topics. Yeah, well, I think the idea of having a camera Bart, you're awesome. Thanks, Titus. Thanks, Titus. Yeah, Bart says you could do a TOT style video and never share your face. That'd be a feature. No, you earned that comment. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Yeah, I like this old Tony's work. I don't think I can ever hope to do the quality work that he does, but I definitely want to get the knowledge out there. And I don't think I'm an authority figure by any means, but I think I can amalgamate the knowledge and demonstrate it, because I want to learn it too. So maybe we can do that. All right. Well, thanks. I appreciate the feedback. So far, you know, there's some excitement about doing that, and Bart doesn't want to see my face anymore, which is fine. It's fine. I don't take it personally. Axe kick, Bart. Okay. With that, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you guys for checking in on a Sunday. Happy clock changing day for everybody, or almost everybody in the United States. Hope you're having fun today, either taking the day off or doing something in the shop. I've got to do a little of both. All right, guys. Take care. You're awesome. Thank you. I'll just serenade you on the way out with stoning this block.